Well, hello everybody and welcome back. I fucking forgot how we do our intro.
Yeah, I also might want to be a little louder.
Hello everybody, I'm Chase.
And I'm Joby.
And this is The Overrun.
Welcome back to beautiful, sunny, muddy, and slightly icy Colorado. Joining us today is the 2024 Land Rover Defender 110. We previously tested the Defender 130, which we absolutely loved, so we couldn't deny an opportunity to review another Defender, which is this one, the 110. This 110 has a couple of off-road modifications such as air suspension, some off-road tires that make it the perfect luxury off-road SUV, which we're going to get into all the different details and specifications in today's video.
Now, the Defender 110 starts at $67,900. However, because Land Rover has gotten a little bit Porsche with their options as of late, this one, as you see it, is $82,053 as spec'd, delivered and out the door. Now that includes a lot of off-road goodies like the optional air suspension, which is $1,500, a couple of off-road packages that adds electronic active differentials, various terrain response modes that you're able to access through the infotainment system, all-terrain tires. It's also got these very cool Safari windows and some cool special graphics packages that help it look a little bit more tough and off-roady. Okay, so let's talk competitors. Right now, the competitor on everybody's lips is the new next generation Lexus GX. Now there are two off-road trims within that architecture. There's the Overtrail and the Overtrail Plus. The Overtrail just gets you all of the standard off-road goodies that you need to get out there, right? You can get the 33-inch tires, air suspension, all of the software, those things. Now the Overtrail Plus, which we built and specced to around 77,250.
77,000.
Sorry, thank you, 77,250. Comes with a lot of the luxury features that even this car doesn't have. That means ventilated, massaging seats, traffic jam assist, which you can option lower down in the trim structure a la carte for $800, and a few other luxury items. Now, to be fair, this also starts at $67,000, so you can kind of end up with those two cars very close to each other. The huge caveat here is that Joby and I have not gotten the opportunity to drive the GX yet, so it is a competitor in name and numbers only. Now, what about yours?
So the other major competitor would be the obviously the Bronco Raptor. That closely matches us in terms of pricing, but it's still quite a bit more expensive. For that, you're looking at about almost $92,000 with delivery out the door for one of those. And I mean, you drove it, I was sick, I didn't get to drive it, but
yeah, I mean, the Bronco Raptor is just so over the top extreme. You know, where that has all of the, you could probably jump this once. You can jump anything once.
yeah.
The Bronco Raptor, you can allegedly jump at least 9 times.
Yeah, I don't know. It is there. It is a possibility. I mean, it's kind of in the same segment. Obviously, there's a bunch of different trims for the Bronco to make it much cheaper than $92,000, but so is this thing. You can spec this very, very differently and make it a lot cheaper.
Our 130 that we tested was plus 6 figures, right? It was north of 6 figures.
I think it was like 110.
Yeah, it was $110,000. So there's a lot of room up here at the top end of the off-road segment, which is worth keeping in mind.
Yeah, but the main thing here is that this is much more focused on luxury, especially in comparison to the Bronco Raptor. This is much more focused on luxury, which that just isn't, especially with the air suspension. This is a very smooth driving car, which obviously is different.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in just a little bit.
Now, powering this Defender 110 is a 3-liter turbocharged inline-6, which is the same inline-6 that is found in other Defender models, such as the 130 that we reviewed earlier this year, which makes 395 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. Now, that has also made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission with also 4-wheel drive, of course, because this is an off-road vehicle. In terms of fuel economy, we're getting a combined 19 right now, but the EPA estimates that you would get a combined 18 miles per gallon. Okay, we are now in the interior. I'm in the front, Chase is in the back, and there's not really a ton to talk about. We covered a lot in our review of the 130 earlier this year. But really the main things here are, you know, obviously we have nice leather seats in here, which are both cooled and ventilated, which is super nice.
Actually, these are just heated. For whatever reason, this spec doesn't have ventilated seats.
Sorry, or the ventilated seats
But you
were
can
in
get
the
them.
130.
Yes,
Okay,
you can get them on the 110 as it sits here. It's just not on this car.
Yeah, but there's a ton of connectivity. There's a wireless charger, a couple of USB ports. There's also a USB-C port in the dash, which is pretty cool. So you can charge something and then just throw it up on the dash.
Tons of storage back up in there too.
Yeah, there's a huge pocket right here. Big cup holders. They've obviously passed a water bottle test, of course.
Oh, and you know what this one doesn't have?
What?
No fridge.
There's no fridge.
No fridge.
It's not a pure luxury vehicle after all.
It's not. This is the rugged one.
But yeah, I mean, the screens are great. The digital dash is absolutely amazing. I haven't had any issues with any of the...
I have one complaint.
Okay, go ahead.
So when you use phone mirroring projection software, or at least when you use the Android version, because I'm an Android boy, you
Peasant.
can... Yeah, I'm a peasant. That's fine. That's why I drive an $11,000 Boxster. The map, if you change to the map configuration in the gauge cluster, it will not project the Google or Apple Maps equivalent into the cluster. So if you want the map in the cluster, you have to use Land Rover's stuff.
Oh.
Which is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
So I usually just switch it to media or some other thing and stick to the map being in the center. I love having that option of the map in the gauge cluster because I think it's a little less distracting, but that's definitely kind of a con of the system there.
Yeah.
But there's really not a lot of other cons to this interior. I have tons of room back here. There's climate control back here that's dual zone.
Connectivity as well?
Yeah, there's 2 chargers back here. They are USB-A. There's also a 110 volt in the back so that you can power some stuff, laptop, air compressor, air mattress. These seats fold flat, so you can, sleep in here if you want. It's very quiet in here too.
Very quiet, on road, very quiet, which we'll get to here in just a minute when we go take this thing for a little spin. But one last thing I wanted to cover before we end it is there's actually a lot of physical buttons for different functionality within the car, especially with the air suspension. There's 2 buttons right here where you can just lower or raise the car, which is super, super nice. So yeah, and that's pretty much the interior. So we're gonna go drive it now.
Okay, so how does this thing drive on the road?
It's perfect. There's really, no compromises here with the air suspension. The drive is super, super smooth. And even on the all-terrain tires, which is pretty surprising, it's also really, really quiet in here. Again,
no added road noise from those tires. Yeah,
no, really. Yeah, so overall, it's really, really great. There's really no complaints that I have at all. I think it's, super, super smooth and comfortable drive. And
driver assist work well.
Driver assist work well.
Visibility is good.
Visibility is really, really good.
Oh, this has the little Safari windows, which I love.
Yeah.
They're totally extraneous. I don't even think they do anything for rear passengers, but they look cool.
Yeah, well, and I think here, because there's no third row, you can't even actually really see them.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you're in the back, but yeah, this is a great car. There's tons of room up here in the front, tons of room back there in the second row, and yeah, there's really nothing bad.
Yeah, I have no complaints about the on-road driving. I'm not a huge fan of the seats. I think that they lack a lot of lateral support, especially when you compare it to like the Buckets and the Bronco Raptor, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't really have any complaints about the seats. I think that they're pretty comfortable for me, so that could just, depend on body type and your overall sizing. For me, the bolsters on here, fit me and, my width pretty well, so yeah, overall I think it's very comfortable.
Yeah, and off-road you obviously have all of the clearance and tech and grip that you need. There's all manner of cameras and proximity sensors to make sure that you don't damage what is probably a very expensive car to fix cosmetically.
Probably.
There's weight depth sensing. There's the intelligent 4-wheel drive mode, which just lets you kind of hit the go pedal, and the car figures it out with its series of differentials and the air suspension and all of that. It's also very comfortable to drive off-road because of the air suspension. It does a great job of taking out large impacts. It's really almost a no compromise driving experience.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, there's nothing. To me, this would be like if I had like a realistic 2-car garage, this would be one of those cars in that garage because of how uncompromising it is.
Yeah, and if you guys want to hear a little bit more about either our driving or our interior impressions of the Defender as a whole, we did talk a lot more in depth about it in our 130 video. We'll leave that link in the description, but for now I think it's time to wrap this thing up.
All right, let's conclude. What do we think about the Defender 110? I'll go ahead and start us off here. Personally, especially when you compare it to the competition, I absolutely love the Defender 110. We tested the 130 over the summer and I loved it, but it was just a little too big and I couldn't see myself actually buying one. But this spec with the shorter wheelbase because of the lack of the third row, I absolutely love. The air suspension is awesome. The car drives, especially on the road, very smooth. I love this color. The extra decals for county are pretty cool. The steel wheels are obviously very, very cool. And honestly, I haven't driven the GX, or neither of us have, so I can't really speak on whether or not I would rather buy that over this. But the Bronco, I just wouldn't pick that one because it's too expensive at the Raptor level, and I wouldn't want to give up a lot of the luxuries that this car offers by going with a lower trimmed Bronco. So for me, I think this is an easy pick.
Yeah, I think it's worth pointing out as well, this one has got the Goodyear Wrangler tires.
Yeah.
Our 130 that we tested last summer, strangely enough, was on winter tires. And I noticed when we drove it, 0 difference in road noise. Which is a huge plus. The Bronco Raptor, when you drive it, you know, it's got that detachable roof, which is very cool. The caveat to that is there's significantly more road noise in there. I think that that's much more of an experience. It feels a lot more special to drive. There's these giant paddles and orange accents, and there's a lot going on there.
It's too much.
It's almost too much unless you really, really know you're going to use it.
Yeah.
If you are just Mr. or Mrs. super off-road enthusiast, it is probably worth paying for that capability that the Bronco Raptor adds.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, you could probably jump this once.
Yeah.
The Bronco Raptor, you can jump all day, you know, and you can do all the crazy rock crawling in between too. You know, the GX is kind of a hard thing to call because we haven't driven it, like Joby said. I don't know. I like the look of the GX mostly. I think the grill, especially with such a great spec sitting in front of us.
It's really hard.
I need to sit in a GX and drive a GX before I can make that decision. But on numbers alone, if I were in the market right now, I would be waiting for a GX. I would be waiting to see if I have to sleep with my Lexus dealer to get one, because we all know that you're going to have to do some horrible, terrible, dirty deeds done dirt cheap to get a Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth just waiting to find out between the two, I think. I love the Defender. I love the Defender. I think it's great. If there were no GX right now, or if we were still talking about a 2022 model year GX, Defender all the way, man. But we're just going to have to see what happens with the GX. But right now, if you want to go and buy an off-roader for this kind of money, the 110, or if you're like me and you like 2 doors, the 90 is almost impossible to beat.
Yeah. And with that, that is our conclusion. And you don't have to wait I don't know what I was gonna...
I don't know either. Look, guys, I normally do the outros for a reason. Please like and subscribe.
I know how to do them now. I can do it.
Please like and subscribe. And do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. All right, shut up. I can do it. And with that, that is our review of the lovely, beautiful, and blue Defender 110. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave us a like and consider subscribing for future content about awesome reviews of awesome cars and awesome locations.
Thanks so much, guys.